Good evening, everybody. The Sandwich Sarcastic Human Resources Committee, the 17th of October 2024. Apologies for absence.
Thank you. Yes, we have apologies from Councillor Breen. He has a travel commitment. But Councillor Chuka has been substituted for Councillor Breen this evening.
Number 2, declaration of interest. To receive any declaration is permissible peculiar interest from members in respect of business to be transacted on the agenda. Okay. Number 3, minutes of the Human Resources Committee. To receive the minutes of the Human Resources Committee held on 8th July 2024, and to consider any matters arising from those minutes not covered elsewhere on the agenda.
I'd like to propose that the minutes are accepted as the correct record of this committee.
Any second? Any vote?
Oh, sorry, did you have a second?
Oh,
Councillor Breen, thank you.
Any votes?
One abstention.
Yeah.
2 abstentions.
Do you have any public participation?
We do, Christine.
Good evening. I'm addressing you with regards to agenda items 5, 6, 7, 9 and 10, which are proposed to fall within the confidential matters of tonight's meeting and relate to confidential minutes from the July HR committee meeting, which included an update on recruitment for the property manager role and an increase in hours for the assistant clerk, line management arrangements for the town clerk, including proposed amendments to the standing orders and the terms of reference for the HR committee, the human resources budget for 2025-26, role title review and date and time of next meeting. Please note that I have excluded item 8 as there is no doubt that it meets the criteria for excluding the public as stated in item 5. However, I cannot see how that exemption can be applied to all of the aforementioned items. Further, there is no mention of the public interest test. It seems to me there is a risk of applying excessive confidentiality when transparency relating to some of these items may be in the public interest. The standing orders state that the press and public's exclusion should be by resolution, and that such resolutions should only be permissible within standing orders where A, the council has a duty under law to individuals whose personal data or other confidential information is required to be or is likely to be discussed, and B, the council is otherwise bound by law or compliance with a contract that requires a matter to be discussed confidentially in line with the 1960 Act, and that records of matters discussed in confidential session will remain confidential while the reason for confidentiality remains extant, subject to the Freedom of Information Act, the Data Protection Act and other relevant laws of England and Wales. The Information Commissioner's website states there is a public interest in transparency and accountability to promote public understanding and to safeguard democratic processes, good decision making by public bodies, upholding standards of integrity, ensuring justice and fair treatment for all, securing the best use of public resources and ensuring fair commercial competition in a mixed economy. I am bringing your attention to these points because 1, it is questionable whether items discussed confidentially in July continue to meet the criteria for maintaining confidentiality within the records of the matters discussed. Therefore, is it appropriate to keep separate confidential minutes? Is it not possible to maintain just one set of minutes and redact personal information if any is contained therein, as done historically? Keeping 2 sets of minutes in parallel may cause difficulties of itself, and be more burdensome to officers when FOI requests are received. 2. Line management and performance review arrangements for the town clerk, including proposed amendments to the standing orders and the terms of reference for the HR committee, are organisational structure and governance matters that I would expect to follow NELC guidance rather than individual preferences. Further, the public already has sight of the existing arrangements and is permitted to remain in the meeting when the arrangements were previously amended and the HR committee is formed. It is unclear why this item is listed under confidential matters in this meeting. 3. The human resources budget for 2025-26 would involve personal information if staff are to be discussed individually, but not if the proposal is simply for a percentage uplift across the board. 4. A review of role titles and job descriptions relates to organisational structure, which should be aligned with and driven by the Council's responsibilities, mission statement and strategic objectives. Role titles, job descriptions and related personal specifications are independent of incumbents within roles, so it should be possible to review these without discussing personal attributes, performance or developmental objectives of staff, which I would expect to be reviewed through the appraisal process, which this is not, because that comes under item 8, which I am not querying. And 5, date and time of next meeting is clearly not confidential, and it would be useful for this to be shared with the public, especially when it is not in keeping with the published schedule of meetings and on the set time of 6:30 for committee meetings, in order to allow members of the public to amend their diaries accordingly. I'm asking councillors to consider the above points when deliberating the decision to exclude the public. Also, when determining if minutes proposed as confidential truly meet the criteria, or whether they should be published in the public interest or consolidated with the main minutes and sensitive data redacted, as was done previously. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Right, number 5.
I think what we would say really to Christine is we'll take this point.
Yeah, we'll take the point and we will be discussing. Number 5, confidential matters. Under the Public Bodies Admission Meeting Act 1960, the public may be excluded from the meeting for the following items of business on the ground that they involve a likely disclosure of exam information as defined in Part 1 of Schedule 10A of the Local Government Act 1972, by virtue of the paragraph specified against the Act. Number 1, information relating to a particular employee or applicant to become an employee of or particular office holder under the decision required. So,
Propose acceptance of
then
the.
the 2 votes.
Confidential comments, but I like it. I think item 6, I can't see that that's either controversial or confidential. It should be a straightforward discussion. All it's about is amending the standing orders and the terms of reference in a fairly simple and straightforward way. Unless the town clerk advises otherwise, I can't see we're going to have a big debate.
Well, I'm happy if you want to do it in the public, but what I will say is I do have some points to make, because you are discussing the line management of the needs of the town clerk and you are discussing my performance. So I would appreciate it if, I don't mind it, if you do it on the email, I'm absolutely comfortable with that, but I do have points to raise.
Okay, right. So maybe we could separate those two bits. Parts.
Yeah, I would trust, we employ the town clerk as a professional, and I would take her advice on all matters of professionalism as to meetings. If the town clerk has set this up, she set this up to abide by the legislation and guidance that we're supposed to accept. We shouldn't be, everybody is entitled to their personal opinion on how our meetings are run, but at the end of the day, there's one person that should be directing us as to how meetings should be run, and that's why we employ them. So it's up to you. Do you accept the guidance of the person that you have engaged to run meetings, or do you want to listen to individual comments and considerations? I propose that we accept the guidance of I can't see how the human resource budget, item number 7, can be disclosed to the public when it's got individual amounts detailing what all the members of staff are earning. How can that be released into the public domain?
I'm not suggesting,
Seems quite incredible.
I'm not suggesting that.
So I've had a limited time to see the papers and inspecting at the last minute, and certainly some of the items are 100% assurance of being in confidence. The item you mentioned, I've looked through that, and even in the limited time I've seen it, we cannot discuss those because it's very easy, regardless of whether it's names or not, job roles and salaries, and also making sure we've got the right structure, leadership in order. So I'm certainly confident about that one. Others may have views on other items.
Chair, I'd just like to say, I've been there 3 times, and I've always been like, or the town clerk or the financial officer. That is their job, and if they say it's confidential, then it's confidential.
Any comment? Councillor.
Yeah, I think the issue of first part 6, which is terms of reference, could not be described as confidential. I don't think there's any argument about that. 6B and C, which may devolve into actual discussions about the town clerk, I think there's a different argument. And I think there, if I understand from the, what has been shared with us, there may well be items there which are personal to the clerk, and I would think that B and C are meet confidentiality test. I think item 7 undoubtedly meets the confidentiality test in the way that the report has been prepared, because it does go into individual salaries. Item 8 is a general discussion there. Titles review, I'm not convinced that number 9 would be confidential, but I think there are elements here. We've got a very mixed economy here, and there are perhaps more issues than our public speaker has suggested. So I think there is more that's in the confidential sector than the non-confidential sector for the moment.
I think we have to come to vote.
Yeah, I proposed going confidential for all the items that the town clerk has designated should be confidential, and I'll stand by that.
Yeah, I second.
Can we vote? Confidential. Confidential. I'm afraid.
Yeah.
The councillors, if you want to, you can consult.
I'm just going to.
I want to say before.
Yes, all right.